The only shortcut to life is to never miss a day, because sometimes you get lucky, and you'll never miss a lucky day if you try every day. Because when you've come from the absolute bottom to the absolute top, and you've done it all off of your own back, and hard work and dedication and never missing a day, one, because of compounding interest, and two, if you don't try every day, you might miss your lucky day. And that's what people don't understand. If you never miss a day and you never don't try and you're always on time, was I late today? No, on time, and you try and improve every aspect of your life, and you're a professional, and you try and make sure that you analyze your decisions, you give yourself feedback, you don't make mistakes, you're not lazy. If you try and you make it to the top, because you look at the people down below and you're like, well, why didn't you try? I did. Oh, I did too. No, you didn't. That's a lie. Now you're lying to me, and that annoys me. I believe that they have the lives they deserve because they haven't been prepared to suffer like I've suffered. If I was as lazy and incompetent as these people, I'd be like them. These people, they're not triers. I didn't even have chances that good. I wish I did. I wish I had a billionaire sitting on the internet explaining to me how the world worked. I would have done anything for that. But I've never had that chance. I had to work them all out myself, take huge monumental risks, do the nearly impossible to escape. It's easier to get rich now than it's ever been. This goes back into my mentality about the kind of person who takes risks and takes action. So then people will say to me, this is what's so amazing. People say to me, oh, how do you have all these big Addies? How do you have $100 million of cars? You're so lucky. It's not luck. It's never been luck. I've been the person who took action. And if I were to tell you right now what action to take, you won't do it. So I'm not going to feel sorry for you when you fail. I'm not going to feel sorry for failure, for losers.
My life is just work. But that's boring, right? But that's the truth about it. I'm on my laptop all day, every day. I have 18 hours a day of screen time. I'm either training or I'm working. Do I know some women? Yes, of course. Do I have some fancy cars to drive? Yes. Can I go to the odd restaurant? Yes. But the majority of the time, all I do is work because that's what I enjoy to do. I don't think most things outside of work are as entertaining as the work itself. That's why I'm successful. Yeah, I do have women who I know, and yeah, I can have that crazy lifestyle, and I did it for a while. But I wouldn't even say it's empty. You know, people get successful and they start to say, oh, I'm above that. It's empty. It's empty. It's vaporous. That's true. I just don't think it's as fun as working. I think just winning is fun. I think the whole point of life is a man is competition in the first place. Life is rented. I know exactly what you're saying, but I'm saying my philosophy is that you never own anything that you're not renting anyway. Your physical health is not something you have, it's something you rent. If you don't look after it, you lose it. Just like a house, if you don't pay the rent, you lose the house. It's the same with your business. If you don't look after your business, you lose the business, you lose your money. The same with women. If you don't look after the women, you lose the women. So do you have to sit there and attribute value to each thing and work out, is this worth the extra seconds in the day to maintain it? And if I'm going to do anything, you're going to optimize it, right? Isn't that life? You go to the fight gym and you spar and you lose and you get better. You attempt to optimize it. You try and make some money. You attempt to optimize it. You attempt to grow the number of followers you have on your YouTube channel. When you go out dating women, you attempt to optimize it to get better at it. If I'm going to speak to people, I'm going to optimize it to be maximally effective. I want to be the person who can say less words than everybody else and have a larger impact. That's what I want to do. I've chosen that. I've decided to do that. I understand that to be able to do that, I also need to have a certain persona and a certain capability. It's hard to do that if I'm not financially successful. It's hard to do that if I'm physically weak. If I walk into a room and I want to bellow and I want to sit and talk in a particular manner, but I'm physically weak and broke, nobody gives a shit. But I have real world accolades. Also, a lot of my real world accolades are based on the fact that I've suffered and I'm prepared to go through difficult scenarios for the things I've said, which once again adds credence to my words.
Does happiness exist to you?
I don't think it's important. I am already happy and I'm happy all the time, even when bad things happen. I'm always a happy person. I don't operate in the happy, sad paradigm. So to me, I'm always happy because I don't measure it. If you don't measure something, it doesn't exist. If you give attention to depression, you're depressed. If you give attention to how happy you are, you're always going to be measuring if you're happy or not that day. If you don't think about those things, they don't exist. I don't give measurement to them. Is that the heartbreak part is the best part.
Yeah.
That's the real love. The whole holding hands, everything's happy, we're out at dinner, smiling, laughing. No, that's boring. The true memory of love, the actual real fun part of the love is the part where you feel the deepest, and you feel the deepest when it goes wrong. And we can apply that to everything. That's the funnest part of life. Funnest part of life. It's never fun at the time, but in retrospect, when you want to use hindsight and analyze your entire life via the lens of your mind, when you go back in time, those bad times are the best times. because I believe as a man, chasing happiness is probably the most asinine thing you can do. It's the easiest way to lose as a man is to chase happiness. What will make me happy is not how you win as a man. How you win as a man is I don't care how I feel, what must be done. And really the only thing that's fun in life is work. The only thing that's fun is the thing that made you rich in the first place. That's the reason it made you rich, because you found it fun. There are no fun activities to do once you're rich. The only thing you can really do is slow things down. So a poor person has a 1 hour lunch. I'm allowed a 4 hour lunch. Great. You can add some time to things. But I don't know. I see there are some other rich people who, they get enamored by wine and they think that giving their life to tasting different grapes is somehow not a complete waste of consciousness. But they're dipshits. And that's why they're not important. And that's why no one knows who the they are. So when I talk to other millionaires, they're like, oh yeah, I'm going to wine. I like to spend my time wine. Well, then you go do that. Life is just, it's a game. We're living in a simulation. And if you want a high score, you have to choose the highest difficulty. So I want a high score. A lot of these people, especially people who talk about Zen, Stoicism, etc., I distrust. And this isn't specifically about him. This is about all of these people. Because they'll sit in a beautiful field with green grass in Bali. And they'll put on a stupid robe. And they'll sit there and they'll do this. And they'll say, I'm Zen. My mind is great. You're in a beautiful field in Bali. Of course you're Zen. What are you going to be upset about? It's sunny. It's not even raining. You have nothing to complain about. Go and be Zen in a trench in Ukraine. Then show me your Zen. If you're so Zen and you're so fantastic with your mind, any of these people, I openly challenge you, considering you're all physically incapable, go do an MMA fight and get the shit kicked out of you. Go on, you know you're going to lose because you're a pussy. I know you're going to lose. You know you're going to lose. He's going to hurt you, but you're Zen. Show me the power of your mind. Go get your ass whooped. Oh no, you're scared. You won't do that. You won't go get in the cage and get grounded and pounded. I thought you were Zen. Turns out you're only Zen when everything's fine. That's not Zen. It's not Zen to be Zen when everything's fine. So all these people with their spoiled little privileged lives and their yoga retreats. Oh, I feel so great in my yoga retreat. Oh, you feel so great in one of the most idyllic locations on the planet, eating food that's prepared for you. You feel great. Wow. Mental control. For the clown show. It's a clown show. If these people were truly who they wanted to pretend they are, they'd be in the trenches somewhere. The UFC fighter has more Zen when he's getting punched in the face in front of all these people, in front of his screaming wife, worried about him losing consciousness forever. When he's taking shots to the face and still avoiding them and keeping a clear enough mind to slip the punches. So all these people are full of because if they were truly Zen, they'd live a life similar to mine. But they don't. I ain't lonely. I've never been lonely. I've never been lonely. You don't know me. I've never been lonely. I had no money and I was never lonely. And I don't think it's possible for anybody to stay in a scenario where they're truly uncomfortable. If you fall asleep on your arm and your arm really starts to hurt, even in the deepest sleep, you're going to wake up and move your arm. If you sit there and your life has been in a rut for 7 years, you are semi-comfortable in that rut. Sure, there's days you're pissed off. Sure, you're semi-annoyed by it. But there's also days where you just play video games, eat pizza, and you're kind of cool with it and it's no big deal. If you were truly unhappy and uncomfortable and discontent with your scenario, you wouldn't be in it. When I was broke, I couldn't sleep. Please understand me. When I was broke, I couldn't sleep. I'd be trying to go to bed thinking, these people have Ferraris. I want a Ferrari. I couldn't sleep. I just understood that there was a version of reality that I had yet to experience. I saw my parents struggle to pay the bills, and I saw my friends struggle to pay the bills, and I saw everyone around me unable to eat, and then I saw certain people with $500,000 cars, and I understood there must be a different version of reality. There must be a version of making money, a version of banking, of finance. There has to be a different world. This world I'm in, everyone's poor. This is garbage. That world, I can see people are living a reality that I can't even fathom. I'm under the mentality that you are exactly not where you deserve to be. That is one version of reality. That's one version of events. And although that's true, I want to put it in a different way. You're exactly where you wish to be in life. Even if you think you are not happy where you are, I can promise you are. Because if you're truly uncomfortable, you can't even sleep. If I put you on spikes, you can't lay down. You only lay down even if you're semi-comfortable. What I often hear from people and see from people is that they get very motivated for short periods of time. They'll be very motivated to change their life for 3 hours, and then they'll just go back to playing video games, and they're actually not unhappy with their life. They're fine to play video games and eat beans on toast and sit around in a small little apartment. They only become unhappy for a few hours now and again. That's when they talk about how motivated they are. That's when they talk about how hard they want to try. But in general, they're actually perfectly fine with their life, meaning they wish to be there. If they wished to be anywhere else, they wouldn't be doing what they're doing. And by extension, they would be exactly where they wish to be. I want you to understand at home, whether you're successful or unsuccessful, you wish to be where you are. If you wished to be big, you'd be big. You would train all day, every day. There is no such thing as wanting to be big and wishing to be big truthfully and not being big. If you say to a man, do you want to be bigger? They'll all say yes. But do they really wish for it? Oh, you'll take it for free. Well, you'll take anything for free. You'll take a Toyota Corolla for free. You won't buy one. Taking something for free is very different than going out there and earning it and paying for it. They're very different things. So you're as big as you wish to be. You're as rich as you wish to be. You live where you wish to live. Because truthfully, when you wish for something with all of your heart, never in history has the universe or God failed to give it to you. Anything you've ever truly wished for in your entire life, you have gotten 100% of the time. So then the logical extension of this mindset is you have to analyze and decide, one, why you wish to be where you currently are. Why? And two, if you want to change that, where you actually genuinely wish to be. Because you have to make sure you really want it. Everyone will say they want to have $100 million. Everyone will say it, but it's not true. And if you don't wish for it, you're never going to get it. And in fact, you won't even elevate from your current position unless you're more realistic with your wish. You say, I don't want 100 million. I just want 1 million. That's my advice.
With great power comes great responsibility. My content existed because I tried my very hardest to be an absolute and utter realist, especially with uncomfortable truths. I was pointing out that very uncomfortable.
Is that a truth?
It's an uncomfortable truth in many parts of the world. It's not a truth that I'm happy about. I don't want to be seen as a negative influence in the world. I know that there's a whole bunch of men. I get thousands of emails a week from men whose lives I've saved. I get thousands of emails a week from men who are on the verge of suicide and I've saved their lives. I believe in protecting and providing. I've been misunderstood. I don't want anybody to be offended by anything I say. I want to be a positive force in the world. I don't want anybody to hear what I say and make them feel bad about themselves. I want all people to live righteous and good, whether they're male or female. I think righteous is living true to your heart and knowing that you're doing good by people, not snaking anybody, not lying to anybody. I know I live a very righteous life. The government is not capable of helping the poor. And this is why it's so important as a person, you take personal responsibility and understand you're living in a world where the matrix can be cracked. You can make a bunch of money, but you need to take responsibility and do it. I refuse to accept that there are people out there who cannot become happy, contented individuals. I refuse to accept we live in a world where God has created people who, no matter how hard they work and how good their life becomes, can't be happy. I don't accept that. I accept that the universe is a very giving place and that God loves all of us. And if you try your best and you work hard, you can become a better person.
I'm telling the younger generation that if they don't get up and work hard and make sure that they're important, that the world's not going to give a shit about them. 99% of my content was aimed at men telling them the truth, saying that as a man, you're born with no inherent value. You have to become important. You have to go through some pain or go through some suffering to make people care about you. Otherwise, you're not going to matter. As a dude, if you walk into the party and you put no effort into your life, nobody cares about you. And every man out here knows. And one of the great things about the masculine journey and masculinity is that we've all lived a semi-similar story. It's kind of cool. Like, we've all been the teenager, gets heartbroken. We've all been unimportant. We've all worked hard and then started to get some clout. And then we've all kind of lived the same kind of journey. So I say to everybody out there, yeah, if you don't follow that path and follow that journey and in one way or another get to the top, whether it's fighting, whether it's comedy, whether it's musician, whatever it is, if you're just going to stay somewhere near the bottom and then at the age of 44, email me saying I'm depressed, well, of course you're depressed. Loser. Yeah. But that was your choice because you have to build yourself as a man. And if you decide not to build yourself, then your life's going to suck.
My main message is to resist the slave mind, to understand that every single thing you're being told has an agenda behind it or you wouldn't be told it otherwise, to examine every strongly held belief you have and try and identify where it comes from and why you have it. I sit and argue with people, I discuss things with people, and they so fervently believe a point. And I say, why do you believe that so much? Like, do you have personal experience? No, but I saw the news. The news told you X, and now you are desperate. You will sit here for hours arguing that point. A lot of people are completely empty vessels ready to be programmed. And I try and tell people, listen, to just stop for a second and understand that the things they're telling you to believe are not necessarily for your benefit. The people who make the rules don't make the rules for the benefit of everybody. They make the rules for the benefit of the people who make the rules of the game. So telling people to resist a slave mind and just be critically
Critical thinkers, keep their brain open, pay attention to things, be perspicacious. That's the general theme. And it doesn't matter whether you're left, right, liberal, man, woman, etc. It's just think for yourself. That's the general message.
I believe men and women are a beautiful union. I think we're slightly different, but when we work together, we're the most powerful force in the world. And I certainly believe that men and women, when they work together, it's the most beautiful force on the planet. So of course I believe in men and women. Of course I believe in love. Of course I believe in marriage. Of course I believe in family. Okay. I believe in marriage in the traditional sense. I believe a man has a duty to stand up and be a real man. I believe that the problem with the world today that we are facing is that not enough men are sticking to the age-old ways of masculinity. I believe that me standing up and saying a man must protect a woman and provide for her, so he needs to make sure that she's safe. He needs a degree of authority. I believe women are sovereign individuals and they can make any choice they so desire. I think that it's important that we remember that a man has a duty. I think I certainly in my relationship have a financial responsibility to provide for my woman. My woman would never have to work unless she wanted to, because I'm the kind of person who works hard enough. And I'll make another point that needs to be said. The number of women who have stood up and stuck up for me is ignored. Thousands of women are making videos saying, I've met Andrew Tate, he's such a nice guy. I wish I had a man like Andrew Tate who felt responsible to protect and provide for me. You know what? I do belong to my husband. That's why I married him and I love him. We ignore the thousands of women who stood up and stood by me and said everything I said is true. This is that there's a large contingent of men who still want to make money, go to the gym, be strong, drive a fast car, be traditionally masculine, and don't want to be shamed for that. And I believe that feeling depressed is real. I don't believe depression as a clinical disease is real. I think PTSD is very real. Unfortunately, I have some friends who suffer from that. I know that feeling depressed is real. I believe that the number one power you have against these things are trying to take control of your own mind and affecting your own life. I believe that it's not healthy to hand over all your power and believe that depression is an outside disease that you can't affect. I know that when I've had difficult periods in my life, and also many of my friends, like I've said, suffer from PTSD and been through terrible things. I've lived a very difficult life, and I know people who have, that the things that made them feel better is when they woke up and said, you know what, I'm not going to allow this to damage me anymore. I'm going to take responsibility. I'm going to get up and I'm going to fight this as hard as I can. If someone comes to me and says, I'm clinically depressed, or I feel very, very sad, I would say the first thing you need to do is stop accepting the identity of a clinically depressed person. Stop accepting you have no control over this. And what you need to do is stop identifying that way, and let's work together to try and fight against it. A lot of people who are clinically depressed are suffering with something in their life, and if you fix the problem in their life, perhaps they won't feel depressed anymore. The thousands of people who have emailed me saying, my doctor told me I was clinically depressed and it's a disease that I have got in my brain and I can't be fixed. And I started listening to you and I realized that that's not the case and I can fix my own life, and you're the only person who has ever helped me. I believe feeling depressed is real. I do not believe it's a disease that you catch from the sky and you cannot affect. I believe that no matter what happens, I believe you have control of your own mind and you can fight against it. I believe if you change your circumstances in your life, you may feel different. I'll give you a quick example. I had a guy who emailed me saying he was clinically depressed and he was going to kill himself. I obviously am not a psychiatrist, I'm not a doctor. I told him, because I replied to my emails. I said, have you been to a psychiatrist? He said, yes, I'm clinically depressed. I've been on these pills, this amount of time. I've been on antidepressants, it doesn't work. I said, I don't know what to say to you besides this. And he said he lost his girlfriend. That's why I became clinically depressed. I said, listen, go to the gym, get a six-pack first. Once you've got a six-pack, email me again. If you still feel like killing yourself, I don't know what else to say to you. But I'd say, strong body is a strong mind, go train. He went, he started sending me progress pictures, emailing me him getting in better shape, and eventually got a six-pack. He's now a professional bodybuilder. And he said, I can't believe I was considering that. I feel so much better, etc. The doctor was telling him he was clinically depressed and couldn't cure it. He started taking control of his own life, and now he felt better. That if somebody has depression of any kind, whether it's clinical, whether it exists or not, whether they feel depressed or not, whatever, that taking control of their life, taking personal responsibility, and working hard is always going to be the positive, best thing they can possibly do for their life going forward.
How positive is it?
Them. Of course, money can't buy happiness. I agree. But money is the third most important thing in the world. First is your health, because you have nothing if you're going to die. Second is your relationships, because you need love and family. That matters the most. But money can buy everything else. So money's the third most important thing. The average people come to me and say, what do I do? I'm just the average guy. And my only answer is stop being the average guy. It's my only answer. You can't just be the average guy anymore. The idea from the 1950s that you can just be the normal, average, law-abiding, hard-working citizen and you'll have a good life is gone. Any man out here who goes, I'm just going to work hard, do my bit, and obey the laws, and I'll have a good life. No, you won't. No, you will not. Just doing your job is never going to make you rich, because you're just going to be taxed into infinity and you're going to stay broke. So just obeying laws and doing your job now has set you up to be a peon and a slave for eternity. You have to get yourself in a position where you're making enough money. You don't know what to talk about, then you don't understand money. So go learn how money works.
Go learn how a bank works. Go sit on YouTube for free. You don't have to pay 50 grand in 4 years like a university. Go sit on YouTube and understand money, banking, or the real estate market, any of it. Understand the last housing price crash, why it happened. Understand mortgage rates and how that's affected by interest rates. Understand it, and then go sit with someone else who understands it and talk about it. People should, even if they haven't got a penny in the world, should be going to these meetings about real estate, about investing, but especially if it's cheap, they should go. Just meet other people who at least have money. Have conversations about money. Talk about it. How are you going to get what you don't talk about? And yes, the cycle of precipitation, right? So a cloud comes, it rains, it falls down to the ground, it goes under the ground, whatever, goes into a stream, it moves into the stream, goes to the ocean, evaporates again, up to a cloud, floats somewhere else, falls down again. It's always moving. That's how money is. People think that money is in these large, stagnant pools hidden in people's bank accounts. That's not really true. Money is constantly moving all the time. And if you can find a way to get in between it and stand in the right place at the right time, you're going to get wet. I think that's the new modern way to view the world. It's an attention economy. It doesn't matter what you do. If you're getting attention, you'll make money. One habit that people need to adopt, and this is a habit I had for a very long time, and I've actually recently cleared it from my brain because I've reached a point where peace of mind is worth more than money. But every single time money is spent, you need to identify how your money was taken from you. And I say taken because money can't be made. Money is taken. Because the only people who can make money are the government. So if you're a government, you can make money. You can print it from thin air or a bank. But if you're a person, you're not making money. You're convincing other people to give it to you. You're taking money from others. So every single time you spend money on anything, you need to identify how it was taken from you. When you go and buy a coffee, don't just go buy the coffee and sit down. Sit and say, why did I buy this coffee? Okay, I really want coffee. Yeah. But then why did I go into this store and not that store? Is it better advertising? Does it have less of a line? Do they have seating? How did they convince me to come in here? How much did this coffee cost? £6. What's the profit margin on that? Probably £5.50, £5.80 probably by the time. The cup probably costs more than the coffee. The coffee is just water. How did they convince me to spend £6 in this place? And when you sit there and analyze, and you all start to learn little lessons about business, you'll learn about the importance of the signage. You'll learn about the importance of there being no queue. Yeah.
So that if you ever run a business, I say with my business, my people all the time, faster. All the time, quicker.
Yeah.
Like I have a couple businesses that are physical. I'm like, I don't want to see a line. I don't want it to see empty because it looks bad. So when there's lines, you work fast. When we're down to 1 or 2 people, you take your time, you talk to the customer. Right. Keep it so there's like always one person at the thing. Like manage the line. Like people don't think about this stuff. No one's going to sit and wait in a long queue. Maybe some idiots will, but people like me won't. We got shit to do, right? My time's worth money. I'm not going to stand and wait in a line. So you have to identify how your money is taken from you. If you start doing that with every single time you spend anything ever, you're going to start to identify business opportunities, and you're going to sit there and you're going to have coffee and you're going to go, you know what? They could have sold cake and they didn't. Could I outcompete this place? Let's imagine I had the money to start a coffee shop right next door. How would I outcompete them? Well, I'd have cake because they don't have cake. Also, most people in here are businessmen. And the guy serving some dude. No, we need a cute waitress. His ass is fired. We need a chick. Put a chick here, some cake in. Financial Times, some business people in. People don't even think about this stuff. They don't use their brain ever. They don't ever look around and realize how they're spending their money. They don't look around and look at which businesses are successful. They don't look around and pay attention to anything. They don't look at the world and all the things that are happening and how it can benefit them. None of it. They don't look at any of it. They're too busy following the circus. That's why it's clown world. I was walking to college with a couple of my friends, and a Ferrari drove past. And I said, bro, you see that? And he goes, yeah, what about it? And I said, doesn't that piss you off? I must have been about 16. He goes, why? This dude has 400 G's for a car, 400 grand. I'm walking 4 miles to college because my mom hasn't got any car. He has 400 grand. Do you think he works a job? Do you think he's behind a counter somewhere? He knows something about the world that I don't know. And they were like, well, he's rich. I'm like, yeah, I know. I didn't say he wasn't rich, dummy. I'm saying he knows something about the world I don't know. And I was intrigued, and it angered me. I couldn't sleep for weeks. I was pissed off. Every time I saw somebody with genuine money, I understood that everything I was being told and taught and they were trying to make me believe just simply wasn't true. I was like, none of these people are getting these things by following the path that the system is trying to make me follow. And everybody intrinsically knows this. If you go to if you're at BP, you're at a petrol station, and I pull up in my Lamborghini, nobody goes, wow, he went to school.
He studied hard. And they do that because they know that the easiest way to amass wealth is to break the rules, because the rules are not designed to allow most people to make money. You can make money within the rules, of course you can. But most people don't. Most people who follow the path work, consume, die. That's it. So I always knew the same thing as you, and I knew there had to be another way. I knew that just working for money was a paradigm that wasn't true. And then you understand making your money work for you, and you understand delinking your time from money. You start learning to understand these things, but eventually you build a system, and you build an ecosystem like me. I have 60 or 70 people work for me all around the world, and things just happen and money just kind of appears as long as everything's well organized. I mean, in my experience, like, imagine if I didn't have all this money and I had to go get a job again, I'd get a sales job, because I've always been a salesman. And I think that's a very important life skill to have, to be good at sales and to deal with the stress and have a commission-only environment. But I don't know if they even teach sales in university. Yeah, it's all garbage. They don't teach anything important. They just teach anything. They teach things that are going to keep you inside the slave mind. And they want you to go to school and then go to college and then go to university and get in debt. And you have to be in debt, so that now you have to work. And you're working and you're in debt, and then they want you to take on more debt if possible in the form of a mortgage, which a lot of people do, which we can talk about because I know you're the property guy. Yeah. And then you're in debt now, and once you're in debt, you can't really quit your job, and it's very difficult for you to leave the country. And now they can hold things over you. So that's the goal. It's all about control mechanisms, and the system is very well designed to make sure that people are conditioned to obey. It's very hard for the average person to say no to anything. Unless you have millions and millions and millions of dollars, it's very difficult to even have an opinion on subjects. That's the thing about being a man, and that's what I was saying to the kids. It's like, look, you need to get up, and it's going to be very, very difficult. The world's getting harder and harder, especially for men. It's all clout, it's all status, there's no way you're going to matter unless you get up and you work extremely hard. Should young men aspire to work very hard, have no criminal record, become multimillionaires, protect and provide for the women close to them, be sovereign so they can stand up and have their own points of view in face of cancellation, be able to not be mentally intimidated when they go on national TV and there's traps set up for them? Yeah, I believe that confident, strong men who stand up and protect and provide for women are a good thing for the world and a good force for the world. And I don't think that I put a magic spell on anybody. I think there's a whole bunch of men in the world who understands my value. And if men grow up to be like me, you're going to have a whole bunch of people with no criminal record, dedicated athletes who protect and provide for the people close to them.
So how do you find happiness? Happiness is in struggle. The struggle and the size of the struggle you're facing, along with how important it is and how important you feel it is deep in your heart, is directly correlated to how successful and how happy you're going to feel all of the time. Struggle is extremely important for a man. You should be looking to inject struggle into your life permanently. For a man, your contentment will come from your purpose, and it will come from your competence, and it will come from succeeding objectives. It will come from completing difficult things that other people cannot complete. It will never come from the easily accessible hedonism, which you have confused for fun. If everybody can do it, you shouldn't want to do it. If everybody can go to that concert, you shouldn't want to go. If everybody can go to that club, you shouldn't want to go. You should only want to do things others can't do. The only fun I have is doing things I know you're not allowed to do. So you need to sit there and go, all right, I'm being asked to do something fun. Who else can do this? And if the answer is everybody, stop. I clear my emails. I've trained hard that day. I've made a couple $1 million. I've checked on all the people I love, all the people I care about. I've donated some money to charity. My children are fed. Their mothers are taken care of. Everything is in order. Everything is in its proper place. That is fun. If you say to me, Andrew, skip a portion of that organization and professionalism so that we can go and do something that everyone else can do, my answer will be no. That does not sound fun to me. And the fact that you think that's fun shows that you have a severe mental deficiency. Stay away from it. You're only going to find actual fun through purpose, and you're only going to find purpose through exceptionalism. So you need to become the best possible version of yourself in all realms. That's extremely important. The reason you are so unhappy is because you are trying to have fun. You're unhappy because you're trying to have fun instead of trying to become important. They are very different things, and you're never going to feel satisfied in your heart unless you become important. Please imagine, and I don't state this with arrogance, please imagine for a second you're the most Googled man on the planet. And you're a kickboxing world champion, and you have hundreds of millions of dollars, and you're built like a tank. Imagine how you feel when you look in the mirror. Nothing can match that, and nothing can beat that. Manifestation is real, but not because your mind manages to magically attract the things you want. I think it just reminds you of what you really want, and it allows you to find energy all the time. If you manifest yourself having a perfect physique, you're going to be a lot more motivated in the gym. It's not the thought that makes the physique, it's the gym that makes the physique. However, the manifestation makes you want to go to the gym. So I do believe that if you understood the power of your thoughts, you'd never think negatively ever again.
but I think manifestation works in another way. I also think that once you understand all of the bad things and good things that come into your life are a perfect plan from God himself, you're going to be a lot less affected by the bad things. If something bad happens to you, it's part of God's plan. He knows what he's doing. In the end, you're going to be happy it happened. I often ask people, is there anything bad that's happened to you in the past at the time you were distraught about that you now wish didn't even happen? So if you understand you're always going to get there eventually, why be upset about it now, right? If you know in a year from now you'll be glad it happened, why be upset about it happening now? You have to be cerebral enough about things.
As a man, you need to have struggle in your life. I want you guys to actually sit and think, what struggle are you going through daily? What struggle are you undertaking? What struggle are you trying to overcome? Because you should make a list of them. I can know for myself, every single day I wake up and I train physically. Every single day I have to go through X amount of physical pain when my day begins. That is a struggle that must be completed. Then I must try and keep my massive empire online, see my children, take care of everybody. There's struggle involved. My life is difficult. Difficult lives are fulfilling because we used to have to hunt and fish and go out there and go through difficulty to survive. And when I look at men who are physical specimens, I think everyone naturally does this, but I'm going to openly say it. I respect them differently than I look at men who aren't. I have a different level of respect for them because they show me they have discipline. They show me they have motivation. They show me they're capable of doing difficult and hard things. Those are the kind of people I trust. They're not afraid of struggle. They're problem solvers. People who train are problem solvers, and you need to become one, and you need to become very, very adept at solving problems pretty quickly. Do you not understand how intimidating that is when they look at a group of people and they all look like superheroes and they can tell they're all disciplined, all hardworking, all dedicated, all physically strong? The struggle is what's beautiful about it. That's the most important thing. That's what you have to understand. First, you want to become as strong as physically possible. So you want to be as strong as physically possible. Next, you want to try and make as much money as possible. Not even necessarily for the money, although money is extremely important because it allows you to take care of yourself. We talked about this before, but there's the challenge involved. And solving that challenge is going to make you feel more satisfied as a human. Happiness comes from success, and making money is success. You should try and make people around you smile and be happy. You should try and encourage positivity around you. You should be the kind of person that no one can really complain about their struggles around because they know that you're the person who's going to be like, why are you complaining when you could just simply fix it?
I think if you take these approaches, if you take the approach of manifesting what you want so you're constantly motivated and understanding all the bad things that happen to you are just a lesson and one day you're going to get over it, it's pretty easy to be a happy, contented, balanced person. I don't think there's any serious magic to happiness. I think it's a choice and it's pretty easy to do. I think the unhappiest people in the world don't have any struggle at all. You often find that people who are struggling but know exactly what they're supposed to do, if they're getting up every day and they're grinding and they're working hard and they don't have what they want yet, but they believe they're going to get it and they're trying their very best and they're dedicating themselves, they're very happy. Perhaps the people who are born with a trust fund and unlimited money and have no struggles in their life and they have no objectives to try and conquer are truly the miserable ones. Perhaps we're built for struggle. Perhaps the human mind and soul and spirit is built to struggle. Perhaps we're built to suffer. I know me as a man, I'm happiest when I suffer. Why did the emperors we discussed earlier constantly try and expand their empires? Because they wanted struggle. Yeah. They wanted difficulty. Would you play a video game if it was easy? If you could never die? I mean, cheats get boring pretty quick. You play it because it's hard. That's the whole point of it. You're supposed to struggle with it. You're supposed to suffer with it. So I think a lot of people confuse these things and they sit and say, this is merely making me unhappy. Or, if I woke up and everything was just perfect, that'd be great for a few weeks. But if you just wake up and nothing ever goes wrong, I think that'd be quite depressing in its own way. That's the beauty of life, is the up and the down, because there's no light without dark.
This is actually why people are addicted to video games. Young men are addicted to video games because it mimics virtually what they ought to be doing in the real world.
Yeah.
Effort in to upgrade their character, to become a better version of themselves so they can do better things than they could previously do and explore new areas of the map. You understand this in video games, and you do it in video games because it's very interesting to do. However, you don't want to do it in the real world. But in the real world, it's so much more rewarding. And I actually going to argue that we're living in one of the final periods where that's true. I'd say in a few generations, who you are and who your physical body is may not matter nearly as much.
No, but it does matter today. A lot.
Exactly. So that's why you should enjoy it while you can. I believe if you lift, stretch, move, improve your body, try and train MMA, learn how to fight, get stronger, get bigger muscles, it's a fast track to self-discipline, which will carry over into all other endeavors. And I would argue that is nearly impossible. In fact, how many people can say the gym saved their life? How many people do you know were depressed, started training, got in fantastic shape, and weren't depressed anymore? It is very easy. The low-hanging fruit is your body and upgrading your body. That is the easiest struggle, which is never going to backfire on you and never going to be a negative towards any other facet of your life.
If I say something, I stick to it. I believe that your word is your bond and you should stick to everything you say. So for me, the simplest life hack is to make sure I never see myself as a liar. If I say something, I'm going to do it. So if I say I'm going to run a marathon, I now have the energy to run a marathon because I don't want to break my word to myself. Which the hack to that is I don't need the energy to run the marathon. I need the energy to say I'll run a marathon, which is a lot less. But once I've said it, I have to do it. So if I look at something and I don't want to do it and I think that looks too hard to do, I'll tell Tristan or I'll tell someone close to me I'm going to do it. So now I have to do it. Just be brutally honest with yourself all the time. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to make the correct move on the chessboard. If you think you're better than you are or worse than you are, you're going to make mistakes. You need to know exactly where you are.
You and your friends need to have friendly competition at all times. Now, you need to meet your friends and you need to have banter and competition around things that matter. Who's got the most money? Who's worked hardest? Who's discovered XYZ, crypto, stock, new way of generating income? Who's trained that day? Who has the most children? Put some actual competitions together that matter and start competing and being around people because you are the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Everybody knows this. So why don't you get some genuine metrics that will improve your life? You won't have time to stand around cooking meals if you're friends with somebody who works out for 3 hours a day, for example, because you're going to need to find 3 hours a day to train to beat him, which means you're going to have to just eat that rotisserie chicken as you do squats like a man should. Live with men you're in competition with. This is ultra important because you can measure yourself against your circle. Get your act together, get some genuine metrics, things that matter, and once they're all put together, you're going to live in a naturally competitive environment, which is going to increase your testosterone level. It's going to prevent you from doing a lot of dumb shit. And the competition one's great, because you can apply it to everything. I think that getting rich when you're young as a man is probably one of the worst things that can happen. You don't want to get rich to your late 20s. You want to spend all your 20s broke.
Broke and grinding.
Broke, grinding, training. If I had money at 18, 19, I would have skipped so many experiences and so many hard lessons. I'd be a fraction of the man I am today. So I don't like the idea of kids just gambling and getting lucky. Now, that's the worst thing that can happen to a young man. He's skipping all the struggle, all the pain and suffering he's going to attempt to skip with money. He's going to end up suffering more in the end, but he's going to just lose, lose, lose. I often see that when I speak to people who are too comfortable, they end up being unhappy.
Yeah.
You can't entertain yourself to happiness. You must earn happiness. You must climb a mountain. You must struggle yourself to happiness. That's extremely important. There must be physical, mental, social, creative, some kind of spiritual struggle. And those things being satisfied is what's going to satisfy you. It's like Bitcoin. Bitcoin's a mathematical equation. You solve the equation, you get a Bitcoin. Life is very much the same. There's struggles, there's difficulties which you have undertaken, which you have adopted to try and complete. And when you finish those things, then you get satisfaction as a reward. That's the Bitcoin. The only other alternative to that, to feel good, is hedonism. And that's not going to satisfy you for very long. And it's also going to destroy your life. So it's extremely important.
Masculine competition is fun. I think what's fun as a man is being the best at anything, right? So I live in a very masculine environment because masculine competition drives you forward. We all work together. We all work inside of the company and we're very successful. But I don't really know what's fun anymore. I just feel like nothing's really fun anymore besides working hard, or you need an activity which is so adrenaline filled that it distracts you, which is why I love driving fast cars and fighting, because it's the only time I'm not thinking about work. Yeah, so I'm happy just to get my work done, and maybe I'm starting to get old after all. I'm 37, I'm getting old. I see my kids, I do my emails, I train hard, maybe go for a drive with the car, maybe get a coffee. That's it. Oh, he doesn't go to the gym because of XYZ or he feels down. That's fine, but he needs to go to the gym. So we can talk about all the reasons he doesn't go forever. That's a very long, lifelong conversation, but he needs to go. So we've removed the needs, and we've removed the hard facts and the duty and the honor and the commitments, and we've replaced it all with this subjectiveness, and there's nothing more subjective than feelings. How I feel inside on a day I say I'm happy might be the exact same way someone feels inside on the day they say they're sad, because their expectation might be higher for happy because they only think they're happy when they're running around laughing like a child. I don't really give a shit how the men I know feel because they have things they need to do. And as long as they're going to do them like they're supposed to do them, I don't really care that much. And if they were to come to me and say they feel down about something and they had a good reason, I wouldn't be insensitive.
That's fine. But we're talking about a death of a family member or something, and we're talking about 1 or 2 days until you just get back to life. You have things to do. If you're injecting struggle, and that struggle, solving those problems lead to a positive place, once you become addicted to it, you're going to become a machine of monumental achievement. There are some very simple, basic things you can do. Weight training, chess, having debates, trying your very best to take care of your mother, retire her, make sure that your people who you love are taken care of. You need goals and resistance and something to fight against to live well. Because the distance between pain and joy is what we experience. If you only have joy all of the time and no pain, you are not going to be happy. You don't need fun. Fun is the vector from which Satan operates. Every time you look at something which is fun, it's all just hedonistic. There's no money to be made. You don't retire your mother. You don't help the world. You don't give to charity. You don't become stronger. You don't become wiser. You don't learn anything. Experiences are unique. Jail was a unique experience. Bunch of fun. Unique. Life's not about fun as a man. Life is about doing the right thing because it must be done. Now, there are some things that are fun which can be earned. And there are some things which are fun that you could do, which perhaps involve skill. Driving a supercar around a racetrack is fun. It involves skill. You have to be good at what you do. Cool. But a lot of this fun that is easily accessible to everyone, because not everybody can get a Ferrari on a closed racetrack. I can. You can't because you're poor. You do not need fun until you've already reached the highest possible echelon. So this whole idea that you need fun in your life, you don't. What you need is purpose. You need discipline. You need hard work. You need things to do which are going to benefit you and the others around you. You need duty, you need obligations, and you need performance metrics. You need people around you who are going to hold you accountable. You're nobodies. You're not important. Nobody knows who you are. You're not physically strong. You're not financially wealthy. You have bigger concerns. Your obsession with fun is holding you back. These things you think are fun aren't fun. Action solves all things. Time solves all things. God solves all things. And to sit around and be obsessed with feelings is highly feminine. I don't like that energy around me. If I feel sad, I don't cry. Just get on with life. It's the adult mentality. So I'm not sure. Feelings don't cross my mind, if that makes sense. They don't cross my mind because they don't affect my day. So it doesn't change anything. So I have other things to think about. People are afraid of accepting there's a problem because then they know they have a responsibility towards fixing it. Yeah. And they don't want to do anything, one, because they're lazy, and two, because they're afraid they might lose. So they'd rather pretend there's no problem at all. And I think I often say to people in a lot of my videos about a lot of other subjects that it's not always the winning and the losing. It's the fighting in the first place. And there's plenty of men in history you remember who ended up losing in the end. Napoleon, for example, who still fought. Which is why they matter. It's not, if you're only going to fight when you're guaranteed to win, then no bravery is required. And you have to fight so that you can look back on your life and feel happy that you tried to do something when you knew it was going on before it was too late. Forget about the winning and losing for now. Focus on the fight. You must wait for the moment when the opponent's mind is scattered and strike without hesitation. If you do not overcome your tendency to give up so easily, your life will lead to nothing. Objectify your demons so you control them instead of them controlling you. Fear is a reaction. Courage is a decision. You have to train your mind to be stronger than your emotions, especially your impulses, or else you're going to lose yourself. You will only be found by the devil once you are lost, and he will lead you to hell. Most of the important things in the world have been accomplished by men who kept fighting when there seemed to be no hope at all. That's a good slogan for life. You should wake up, look in the mirror, and say, suddenly, the champion returns with initiative and vengeance. Truthfully, a man, I believe, is being able to do the things that are hard or do things you don't want to do because you're supposed to do them. I think that's what a man's always been. A man is supposed to be strong. He needs to be strong, so he has to become strong. That's his job. A man is supposed to be brave. It's not that you can't feel fear. It's that you have to be brave. Oh, an attacker's here. I'm afraid, but I'm a man, so I will go and engage the attacker. It is my job. And now we're teaching men, you don't have to do what you don't feel like doing. You can do what you do feel like doing. The thing that people struggle with most, especially men, is that we only learn lessons the hard way. That's the problem. You want to be good at learning lessons the easy way, which is really paying attention and making sure the feedback you're receiving, you need to be perceptive to it so that it doesn't have to be so hard hitting. You need to be the kind of person who goes out for a drive and his wheels slide a bit and he slows down. But what people typically do is they go out for a drive, their wheels slide a little bit, they continue, and then they crash. And then they realize I should have slowed down once they hit a tree. They only learn the hard way. But when they got the easy little bits of feedback, they didn't want to pay attention to them because it was easy and they thought they got away with it. And it's the same with a relationship and the same with everything else. There's little bits of feedback. You go, okay, this is going to be a problem later on if I continue. But they ignore that part. They wait for it all to blow up and go wrong. And then they learn. So men only learn the hard way. And the reason they're sitting at home, even if they don't admit to these ailments, wondering why they're so unhappy all the time, is because you're fighting an internal battle. Your monologue is different in your mind from what your spirit truly wants. You want to be respected, you want to be strong, you want to stand up for what you know is right, you want to be a man, and you're just too afraid to engage the enemy, so you're going to self-destruct, you're going to turn on yourself. There's a fire inside of you. There's a fire inside of absolutely every man, and you can either direct it at your enemy and do your very best to destroy him, or it's going to burn inside of you and eat you alive. You have to make a choice. The cowardice that you feel that prevents you from engaging the enemy is the biggest betrayal, because now you're just engaging yourself. The battle's certain either way. So I strongly recommend you find who the enemy is and direct your efforts towards their destruction, as opposed to sitting there allowing yourself to self-immolate.
It's truly incredible how lazy you are if you're prepared to spend your only spin of this earth living a subpar experience purely because you cannot find the fire inside of you to get up and get things done. You're only going to be rewarded if you differentiate yourself from the crowd via effort. A lot of people don't know how to try anymore, but we are not like that. That's why fans of mine are so monumentally successful. We know better. We know how to try. That's why we always endlessly win. Most of you do not use your mind for what it's for. You've forgotten how to imagine things. You're permanently distracted by the matrix. You can scroll up and down on social media accounts, but you cannot close your eyes and vividly imagine. You can't give yourself goosebumps. You can't evoke an emotion in yourself anymore. This is an age-old skill that humans had very recently up till social media. You should be able to close your mind and imagine the life you want to live so viscerally, to the point where you can taste it, so that this reality, the one outside of your mind, feels like nothing but a prelude, a ramp, which allows you to get where you want to go.
It's down to you. Like, I can tell you how to do it. You can lead a horse to water. You can't force them to drink. And I'm very realistic about that. And a lot of people are coming around and talking excuses and saying things. When it comes to taking action, they decide not to take action. And that's self-sabotage. I can't help you if you're that type of person. If I want something, I'm gonna go get it. That's who I am. If I want it, I'm getting it. Fuck you. So don't be that way. Don't be that way.
The best thing about being a man is that you're born as nothing and you get to build yourself into something. And you get to decide what that is. A lot of people haven't truly decided what they want to be. And once you decide what you truly want to be, then you need to work towards it. I knew I wanted to be this big kickboxing millionaire living in an armed guard compound with his 10 wives mafia boss. I knew what I wanted to be. And I made it happen. A lot of people aren't sure what they even want. So first you need to decide what you want to do and what you want to be. And then you need to start working towards it. There's no shortcuts.
There's no such thing as becoming anything of worthwhile without adversity. There's no other way. This is what people don't seem to understand, is that, I know it's an age-old adage, I know it's easy to say, whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger, but adversity is the absolute key ingredient in absolutely anything that regards success. You want a six-pack, there's adversity in the way. You want to be a world champion, there's adversity in the way. You want money, there's adversity in the way. The sooner you become accustomed to adversity, and you no longer become adverse to the idea of it and the stress of it, the sooner as a person you can say, okay, fuck it, let's go. And you become tolerant, then the better you're going to be as a person.
Life doesn't give a fuck about you. Everyone who you're crying to your problems about doesn't really care. And you have to get it over with. You know, like, bad things happen to everybody. They're going to happen to everybody.
Yeah. And then we all die in the end.
And then we all die. So you have two choices. You can let the bad things consume you, or you can wake up one day and think, enough of this, and you got to push forward.
You must change your attitude towards problems and see them as a blessing. But if you do not get to enjoy today's problems and solve them, you're going to have no problems tomorrow. And I guarantee you that life you dream of with no problems doesn't exist, because if you ever do find that life, it is torturous. You know where you have very few problems? In a jail cell.
Jail, yeah.
Food turns up.
Yeah.
Bed's there.
Yep.
Bills paid.
Yep.
TV's on.
Don't need money.
No problems.
No problems.
You don't want that life. You want to not live in a zoo. There's a reason why animals die when they live in a zoo, because they have no problems. The food turns up, no predators, no enemies, They don't have to run away from the deforestation or the poachers. They just sit, lay around, wait to be fed, but they don't live as long as they do in the wild because it is the problems that keep their soul alive. It is the problems, the fact they must hunt, the fact they must avoid their predators and enemies, the fact they have to avoid being poached. They have to change territory when the new alpha male moves in. They have to find somebody to mate with. They're not given somebody to mate with like they are in the zoo. They have to find something to mate with. That is what keeps the masculine spirit alive. That is what's so important. My brother and I used to sit around and talk about what could be if only we managed to get it out. How it would feel to have this car. How it would feel to be in this place. How it would feel to be famous and internationally renowned. How it would feel to go to Saint-Tropez and live on a yacht. How it would feel to be able to fly on private planes. How it would feel to not have to worry about food anymore. My brother and I used to imagine for hours. We used to talk about it. We believed in this version of reality where we somehow made it. But if you're in the middle, you don't do that. You don't want it enough to talk about it and imagine over the temporary dopamine and entertainment you can achieve from the fucking PlayStation your mother bought you because your parents have enough money for PlayStations. We didn't have one. We couldn't get one. We couldn't afford it. I'd like to be rich, but Netflix is on and the TV's on and mom's just brought me a Capri Sun.
The heating's on.
I'm not cold. Everything's fine. So you don't sit and imagine deep in your soul. Not only do you lack fire, not only do you lack motivation, you lack imagination. And that's why it's very important. You need to start believing you are the fucking man, even if you're not yet. Before I was world champion, I knew I was going to be world champion. You have to believe these things. You need to sit at home and feel this fire inside of you because you do not have all of the money you want, all of the respect you want, and your name has not been echoed into eternity. You're not etched into the halls of history. You need to take all of that fire inside of you and all of that anger and direct it at one task. And you need to try your absolute best to ensure you succeed in that task. It's very important that you go through these bad things, one, to learn lessons, but two, to learn gratitude and appreciation for things once you have them. It's extremely important. Every time something bad happens to you, you need to say thank you to God. Thank you, God, for giving me this difficult time, for me to learn lessons, and for me to have more appreciation for my fantastic life in the future. That's how you should approach life. And especially success is exactly the same way. The lessons you'll learn failing along the way will ensure that when you get to the top, you can keep it. If you want it to rain and you don't know what to do a rain dance. Perhaps the rain dance will not make the clouds seed. However, God will be happy that you're taking action as opposed to just sitting still, quietly waiting for rain to appear while being submissive and subservient. No, you have to go out there and do things. If you're on your deathbed, whenever that is, and you think back on your life, the only things you're going to regret is all the time you wasted being in a bad mood. You're going to sit back and think, all the times I stayed in and I was miserable on Friday nights. All the times I argued with that person I was in a bad mood. All the times I was stressed over that thing. I can't remember what it was now. Like all the negativity you had, you're going to think back and think, what the fuck was I doing that?
Yeah.
Why was I not just laughing? That's what it's going to be. Yeah. So when I'm in a stressful situation, and trust me, bro, I'll say it now, one thing, I had a Bitcoin wallet hacked. I lost $250,000 last week. You know? but literally me and my brother sat there and obviously you're pissed off. But we're like, in 10 years from now, are we still going to be pissed off? Well, no. So what's the point in being pissed off now? You can't get it back.
Yes.
So it's just very much like you have to just learn to train your brain to just be like, fuck it. It takes practice, but I see people complaining about stuff. Oh, this had my car broke down. It's like, bro, so fucking smile. I don't get people because when you're old, you're gonna regret all the perfectly young, healthy years you had.
Yeah.
Fucking around sad. As a man, you must earn your friends. The harder you work, the more important you become. The more important you are, the more important your friends will be. And important friends improve your life exponentially. They massively improve your life, important friends. As a man, all you should ever be asking for is a fair shot. You shouldn't be asking for anything else. You should sit and say, I believe in my competence to the point where all I need is a fair chance. It's a world of men. You give me a fair chance, and I can do it. Give me a coin flip. I don't want anything more. I don't want anything less. The best the universe will ever give you is that fair chance. And if you're good enough as a man, and if you're prepared for it, then you can win. The universe is extremely giving, and it gives you exactly what you deserve. It will give you the woman you deserve. It will give you the money you deserve. The universe will give you the luck you deserve. If you end up being extremely lucky, you have earned that luck. I've described before rain dancing. When you want it to rain, you must do a rain dance, even if it does not cause clouds to form. You'll be more lucky if you rain dance than if you just sit and pray and hope that somehow the rain's going to come. So if you truly are that guy, then you deserve all you have.
There's a version of you that never sleeps in, never skips training, never wastes time. There's a version of you who never fails. It is waiting for you. Genuinely ask yourself a question, you at home. If you had done those things for the last 2 years, you never skipped a training, you never wasted time, you never scrolled TikTok, you never sat aimlessly on the internet typing in garbage, never played video games, you never wasted time. You never skipped training. You were training every single day. You never slept in. You were never lazy. There's this version of you. Imagine the person you would be. Genuinely imagine what you would look like. Imagine where you would live. Imagine the car you would drive. Imagine how much your woman would respect you. Imagine the love you would see in her eyes when she looks at you with adoration like a king. Imagine your existence. That person is waiting for you, and the only thing that's stopping you from being that person is your monumental laziness. You can have it. The universe is very giving. It will give you anything you work for. I've never seen somebody try for something with all of their might and not get it. The only people who do not have the things they want are the people who do not try for them. I've never seen a person wake up and say, my only dedication in life is to solve a Rubik's Cube and fail. You are not stupid. You are not incompetent. You are lazy and arrogant. It's extremely important you understand that that person is waiting for you, and you are declining that version of yourself. In the multiverse, in the many different versions of the universe that exist, there is a version of you that does those exact things, and he is a greater person than you can even fathom. You can transform yourself into that guy. You can be a top G. That's exactly what I did. I knew who I was going to have to end up being before I became that person. My brother and I are not from rich families. We are not from advantaged beginnings, but I knew I had to be a big, strong, fighting billionaire. That's what I knew I had to be. Discipline is the key to success. If you cannot force yourself to do something you don't want to do, how are you ever going to put yourself through the suffering required for greatness? If you cannot force yourself to train when you do not want to train, if you cannot force yourself to work when you don't want to work, if you can't force yourself to not log into Pornhub or force yourself to eat right, how can you possibly ever become a monumentally successful person if you cannot control yourself long enough to do what must be done as opposed to what you feel like doing? The only people who get to live their lives based on how they feel are women and children. Children can cry because they feel like crying, as can a woman. A woman can start an argument because she feels like arguing, as can a child. A man must do what he is supposed to do irregardless of how he feels. That is the key component to masculinity, is discipline. If you do not have the discipline to dedicate yourself to anything, you are going to fail and be crushed by the people who can. If you only go to the gym when you feel like going to the gym, you're never going to be as strong as the people who go to the gym when they don't feel like going to the gym. That is a reality of life. So, I train every single day. I've actually heard from some people saying, you overtrain. And I explained to them, one, I don't believe in rest. I'm not you. I'm not pussy. I'm not broke like you are, Mr. Fitness Trainer, standing around the gym teaching people for $50 an hour. I don't need to listen to you. Secondly, I don't train because I want to get bigger. I train every day because it is difficult to train every day. It hurts. I don't want to. I wake up and I'm busy. I have other things to do. I don't feel like doing it. So I force myself to do it 7 days a week, 365 days a year, so that I know I'm the kind of person who can do what he doesn't want to do when it needs to be done. I am that man. And it is more of a mental exercise than a physical exercise at this point. How can you ever outcompete me if I can force myself to do the things I don't want to do and you cannot? Discipline is absolutely essential for success, and you need to get very comfortable and very used to the idea of understanding that on your path to greatness, there are going to be long periods of time where you hate what you are doing, where you are dissatisfied with the actions you must undertake, where you are tired, where you are stressed. That is why it is difficult. That is why most people won't make it. If the path was easy, everybody would walk it and it would lead nowhere. 100 people start the path, 99 fall off because it is difficult, and the one person who makes it to the end gets the gold. If all 100 made it to the end and the gold was divided by 100, it wouldn't even be worth anything. The difficulty gives it value. The fact that it is difficult to do is the key component into the fact you want it in the first place. If it wasn't difficult, everyone would have it and you wouldn't want it because no one would respect it. It's supposed to be hard. Life is supposed to be hard. You're supposed to think this is terrible. You're supposed to suffer and smile through the pain regardless. Discipline is the key to success in all realms as a man. And if you lack it, you stand no chance. You can give most people a roadmap to success. You can give them a Ferrari with a full tank of gas, and a lot of people still wouldn't make the destination because they would say the drive is too far away. Quitters, they don't have the discipline. You can tell them exactly how to do it. You can give them the mechanism to get there, but they don't have the discipline to complete the drive and end up at the destination. That is the majority of Earth. This is your competition. People who, even if they are told what to do and people tell them exactly how to do it and help them do it, still quit, still fail because they lack discipline. Even me, with my monumental powers, I can't make a quitter successful. It doesn't matter how good I am. It doesn't matter how easily I make it for them to succeed. It doesn't matter how compendious and concise and powerful the real world is. It doesn't matter how much I text them and motivate them, how many emergency meetings I do to try and talk to them and hype them up, how much motivation I give them. It doesn't matter what I do. If they are a quitter, guess what they're going to do? They're going to quit. No matter how simple the map is to read, no matter how fast a Ferrari is, somewhere along the drive, the sun's going to get in their eyes, and they're going to sit there and go, I don't like this, this is hard, and they're going to quit. Quitters are the number one type of people that nobody can help. If you're a quitter, I can't help you, life can't help you, God himself cannot help a quitter. So if you lack discipline, you lack the very basic building block to any type of success which exists on the planet. By every single metric which can be measured with science, you are going to stay a loser and a failure. Key is to keep training. If you train hard every single day, you don't have to worry about a little bit of vitamin C. It's true. If you don't train and you don't smoke, you're still going to be a pussy.
Yes.
The answer is always hard work. As soon as you are granted life, you are guaranteed death. What you do in between is up to you. You are all conscious. That could end tomorrow, that could end in 100 years. But the time between the beginning of your consciousness and the end of it is completely up to you. Training is never the wrong decision. If you're in jail, you should train. If you are free, you should train. If you are rich, you should train. If you are poor, you should train. If you smoke, you should train. If you don't smoke, you should train. If you drink, you should train. If you don't drink, you should train. You cannot escape that hard work. It's always the correct decision. There is no time in any scenario when working hard is going to be the wrong answer. You should always try your very best in all things. Pain is an extremely important part of the equation. Pain is the elixir of success. When people say this bad thing happened to me and I'm suffering, I say good. It is pain which is required. It's one of the elements in the chemical reaction. And the chemical reaction requires 5 particular distinct compounds, and you have 4 and you're missing 1. It simply doesn't work. Pain for a man is one of the most important elements in becoming successful. Batman is Batman because they killed his parents. If they did not kill his parents, he would not be Batman. You're supposed to suffer. You're supposed to take that pain. The worst thing that can happen to you as a man is you live a life with no pain in it. To be born into a rich family and have a nice, easy life and be given money, and you don't have to go to the gym and not have to train because you have bodyguards and sit around like a fuck up. You're going to be miserable and unhappy and a drug addict buying prostitutes. You're only going to have women who adore you. You're only going to feel confident in yourself and feel happy when you've been through hell and come out the other side. The pain is required. And you'll often notice that people who are better than you are people who have suffered more than you have suffered. So, the person who is waiting for you, he requires your motivation. It also requires huge amounts of pain. So when bad things happen to you, do not sit at home and lament. Do not feel sorry for yourself. Instead, look in the mirror and say, thank you, God, for giving me one of the ingredients that is needed for the chemical concoction that is going to turn me into a superhero. Because pain is an extremely important one. In fact, it's one of the most important ones for a man. Everything is war. All of it. Sitting in the commute without losing your patience is war. Trying to find a way to escape your slave job is war. Keeping your wife happy and your children inspired is war. Training to become stronger than before is war. It is all war, and it cannot be avoided. And I'll tell you why it's war, because war is 2 opposing sides trying to achieve the same goal.
two opposing sides want the same land or the same influence over X land. And the car you want, the Ferrari, you're not the only person who wants it. The reason it's so expensive is because other people want it. The girl you want, the beautiful woman, everyone wants her. It is war. It is competition. Everything about life as a man is war. It is conflict because you are competing against the other men who want it the same, which is why discipline is such an important thing, which is why you must take the pain and add it to the concoction to become as formidable as possible. Life is war. This idea that you can go through life as a man and avoid war is probably the biggest mistake that most men make.